G'day people, today we're going to look at a couple of signs that pretty clearly demonstrate that all of the main road's aspirations to provide world-class outcomes for the customer through a safe, reliable and sustainable road transport system have come crashing down when applied to the cycling and pedestrian detours around the Fremantle traffic bridge project. Now, before I go on, I want to say that when I'm driving, every detour that I come across that is set up for motor vehicles is very safe and effective. Main Roads has built up a useful collection of standards, policies, procedures and templates and paired that with a training and guidance for traffic controllers that delivers a first-class result. The problem with this system is that it is entirely car-centric. It almost completely ignores cyclists and pedestrians, and I'm going to show you why I've come to that conclusion. Why is this so? Let's look at a couple of documents that are publicly available on the Main Roads website. And then we'll look at how those policies, or the policies contained in those documents, are applied to the Fremantle Traffic Bridge project in reality. The first is an FAQ for mandatory video recording requirements for traffic management. I think this policy is a great idea. Dash cams are now cheap and widely available, so why not make use of them to help improve temporary sign integrity and legibility? Question 7 of the FAQ states that this does apply to paths and there must be periodic inspections of the temporary arrangements on the path. Therefore, video recording must be conducted. Unfortunately, it doesn't state how often these periodic inspections must take place for paths. Is it once a day or once a year? It is not prescriptive, allowing contractors to do as much or as little as they want. Question 10 of the FAQ states that footage must be kept for 7 days only, although the contractor can keep it for longer if they want to. There is no requirement to download footage from the dash cam on a defined schedule to a computer in the office, or to upload this to a Main Roads portal for off-site review or data retention purposes. The second document is the Traffic Management Daily Diary. This states that drive-through checks must be conducted at least every 2 hours, and these drive-throughs must be recorded as per the previous FAQ on recording. These checks are designed to ensure signs are upright, clean, visible, level and stable, and they're to ensure that pedestrians, cyclists and other vulnerable road users are catered for. So far, so good. This is a pretty solid basis for creating and maintaining safe detours for drivers. Notice that there is nothing in the daily diary about doing a regular ride-through of any cycle paths or shared paths that are subject to temporary traffic management. It's completely car-centric and cycling infrastructure is totally ignored. Well, let's have a look at 2 examples in Fremantle that clearly demonstrate that this safety system completely collapses when applied to a cycling detour. Our first location is the corner of Tideman Road and Pensioner Guard Road. If we go back a year to the 10th of February 2025, we can see that there's a very clear sign on the island showing pedestrians and cyclists where to go. This is a great sign. Pity it disappeared. Now on the 14th of June 2025, that sign was upright, clean, visible, level and stable, as per the Main Roads policy. Now storm went through on the 22nd of June with the result that the sign was face down on the following day. Now I could have stopped and put that sign back up in less than a minute, but I decided, based on experience, to do nothing and revisit this site whenever possible to document what happened next. Here it is, still face down on the 23rd of June, and the 25th of June, and the 28th of June, and the 29th of June, and the 30th of June, and the 3rd of July, and the 5th of July. When I next returned on the 19th of July, the sign had finally gone, and it's never returned, even though this sign is a vital part of the wayfinding signage for this detour. Thankfully, I ignored the Main Roads policy on retaining video footage for only 7 days so that we can review the daily status of this sign 9 months later. Our second location is just around the corner on the path that leads up onto the Boorloo Bridge on the western side. If we go back to the 6th of March 2025, we find that there's a large sign that's clearly visible and it's pointing pedestrians and cyclists to take the left fork to get onto the detour across the Boorloo Bridge. This is a good sign. If you're coming off the bridge, there was another sign facing in the other direction warning you that there's an intersection approaching and you need to bear right. Well, the Grinch must have visited because on the 26th of December 2025, this sign had been reduced to a single level sign pointing pedestrians only to the left. Cyclists might wrongly assume that that detour is a pedestrian only detour and they need to keep on going straight ahead down to the river. At this point, also, the sign facing in the other direction for people coming off the bridge has vanished, never to return. In other words, the quality and quantity of signage at this intersection declined significantly. By the 2nd of January 2026, this sign was a bit worse for wear and was leaning drunkenly to the left. It is no longer meant the level part of upright, clean, visible, level and stable. As drunken lean remained undetected and uncorrected until the 25th of January, when it must have celebrated too hard because on the 26th it was flat on its back. It was still like that on the 3rd of February. When I visited a month later on the 6th of March, the sign had vanished, but the metal supports still remained. Now I've got a few more examples, but for the sake of brevity, I'm just showing you these two. So I think it's pretty clear that the requirements of the daily diary inspections aren't being met. And if it wasn't for me saving these videos, there would be no way for Main Roads to prove this, because there's no requirement for the contractor to retain video for more than 7 days. There's also no evidence that the contractors have ever taken a video recording of a path inspection through here, as per question 7 in the recording FAQ. So why has this turned out so badly? Well, I can think of several reasons. The first, this is an amazing one, is that Main Roads is a victim of the success of the Boorloo Bridge project from a cycling perspective. Now the team that the contractors brought in for that project were first class as far as setting up and maintaining the detours for cyclists and pedestrians were concerned, and they deservedly won an award for their work. However, I think their success on that project was a result of them going well beyond the very basic requirements set down by Main Roads. I think they saw there was a massive gap in the Main Roads requirements for cycling traffic management, so they used their experience, judgment and common sense to fill that gap. They saw it as their job to make the cycling detours as safe as possible, rather than to do the bare minimum and just tick a few boxes on some forms to claim they were compliant. Now, Main Roads then rather unwisely assumed that all contractors would step up and deliver at the same level from that point on. The Fremantle Traffic Bridge project has clearly shown that sort of thinking is completely deluded. There's a huge difference in mindset between doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do and just meeting the bare essentials stated in the contract. Now, for example, on Saturday I visited the house of a Perth builder who is well known for sacking tradies who don't clean up after themselves. If a tradie does work that creates dust, he expects them to vacuum that dust and leave the work site spotless. If not, they're fired on the spot. He's told plenty of argumentative tradies that he shouldn't have to tell them to clean up after themselves. Cleaning up is a basic expectation of keeping a work site neat and tidy, because neat and tidy is safe and efficient. So you would think that Main Roads shouldn't have to tell the contractor that the detours on the path need to be treated in exactly the same way as the detours on the road, that the paths need to be patrolled by bike or on foot at least once per day, and the inspection patrols must be recorded and the video recorded or retained for 7 days. You've set up a road detour and you've set up a path detour, and they should be managed to the same standard. And that should just be a given. That's common sense. Now, unfortunately, the contractor has been given a get out of jail free card here because the Main Roads Daily Diary doesn't specify in writing that a bicycle must be used for inspecting detours affecting cyclists. Similarly, the video recording FAQ says nothing about using a bicycle to carry out path inspections, nor how often such an inspection should be done. It just says video recording must be done. In theory, this could be done by the passenger of a ute leaning out the window and recording the path on their phone as they drive by on the road. Alternatively, you could mount a camera on the harness of a dog and walk them along the path. There's nothing prescriptive about how and when recordings must be done. This clearly needs tightening up and defining properly. Sorry, you've got to bring in the lawyers. The last reason is that when it comes to cycling safety, Main Roads clearly lacks 3 lines of defence. Now, the first line of defence is supposed to be the internal controls put in place by the alliance contractors. I think the video that I've shown here shows pretty clearly, it clearly demonstrates these controls either don't exist or they aren't working. The second line of defence should be provided by Main Roads. They should be auditing big projects like this one to ensure that the internal controls are sufficient and functioning properly. Now I'm thinking of the team that approves temporary traffic management plans. They should be checking that the plans that they have approved are being implemented properly. Now they're the subject matter experts in this field, and they should be able to tell instantly whether a plan that they've approved has been applied properly on the ground. And Main Roads has a systemic problem here, because every time I contact Main Roads to tell them that there's a safety issue in the worksite detour, they send the complaint to the contractor and allow the contractor to mark their own homework. Of course, the contractor is going to find that they've done nothing wrong and they don't have to make any adjustments or improvements to their safety systems or change their standards or their policies or procedures. Everything is fine. The third line of defence is a safety audit function. There should be a team within Main Roads who just does safety audits, and by that I mean site audits as well as safety system audits. The safety audit team should be asking the traffic management team how they go about ensuring that contractors are in fact following the standards and policies and procedures and delivering safe results. Well, the first thing the safety audit function should be doing is asking why the heck safety issues sent in from the public are being forwarded to the contractors for comment, instead of being either sent to the traffic management team or the safety audit team for immediate investigation. Outside of that, you've then got external groups like WorkSafe who should be checking that the safety audit group is doing their job properly and that there's no blind spots in their systems where risks and hazards are being ignored or not picked up. Now, if we go back to the video of the detour signs lying on the ground for weeks on end, we can ask where this triple layered defence is failing, because clearly it's failing. If it was working properly, those signs would have been put back up the day after they fell over at the latest, and the fact that they had fallen over would have been detected by a daily inspection patrol and not by a member of the public sending in a complaint. So, let's recap what could be done to ensure this sort of thing doesn't happen again. First, direct the Main Roads Contact Centre to treat all detour and signage issues as safety issues and send them to either the traffic management team or the safety audit team for investigation, not the contractor. Now, if those teams lack the manpower and resources to investigate properly, we'll do something about their budget and headcount. Second, tighten up the daily diary template using explicit language that states if bicycle infrastructure is impacted or cycling routes, then regular inspections must be carried out by bicycle. You inspect the setup of the road detour by car, and you inspect the setup of the path detour by bicycle. I guess you check the setup of the footpath by foot. Well, it's a pretty simple concept to understand. Third, tighten up the recording FAQ to state that inspections of bicycle infrastructure must be carried out by bicycle, and a video camera must be mounted on the bicycle to record the inspections. These things exist. The company that invented them was founded here in Perth. They're based in Subiaco. This means the daily diary template and the recording FAQ back each other up and reinforce this policy. Fourth, on long-running projects, require contractors to either retain a weekly sample of inspection video data or have them upload that sample to a Main Roads portal, and ensure that that video that you're retaining is retained for, say, 3 months after the closure of the project. And as we've seen here, there may be a need to go back in time and audit signage over a period of more than just 1 week. Fifth, conduct regular office audits of the uploaded video to ensure the signage layouts match the approved traffic management plans. Sixth, have WorkSafe conduct a safety systems review to determine what other gaps exist in Main Roads documentation, standards, templates, policies, procedures, organisational structure and training with respect to managing the safety of cyclists and pedestrians around worksite detours. Now, it's amazing how all of that can be the result of a couple of signs being left face down for weeks on end because no one could be bothered carrying out proper inspections and no one was checking if inspections were being carried out at all. All right, that's it until next time. See ya.